Imagine sitting at dinner, and in front of your entire family, your brother stands up, smiles, and announces that he now owns the company you built. Not half, not a share. Everything, and you're getting nothing. Yeah. That's the moment I realized this wasn't a family dinner. It was a setup. My name is Nina. I'm 32 years old. And what I said next completely destroyed their plan. It was Thanksgiving night, the kind that looks perfect from the outside. Warm lights, full table. Fake smiles, the kind of night families post online to prove they're happy. We were all sitting around this long wooden table at my parents' house, and ironically, that table had seen more of my struggle than my success. Because while everyone else watched football, laughed, and passed around food, I was the one sitting there late at night, laptop open, numbers everywhere, trying to keep my company alive. My company, the one I built from scratch at 24, no investors, no safety net, just me, and a ridiculous amount of pressure. And then, my brother stood up. Ethan. Perfect hair, perfect suit, perfect timing. He tapped his glass like he was about to give some emotional speech. Before we eat, he said confidently, I just want to thank Mom and Dad. The room slowly went quiet. Something felt off. I didn't know what yet, but I felt it. And I want to thank them, he continued, smiling, for trusting me enough to officially hand over the company. Silence. Real silence this time. People froze. Someone actually stopped mid, and then he looked straight at me, smiled wider, and said, Nina won't be part of it anymore. Just like that, no warning, no conversation, just erased. I felt my chest tighten, not from shock, but from something worse. Recognition. Because deep down, I think I always knew this was coming. My mom didn't look at me. She just adjusted her napkin like nothing happened. My dad, he kept staring at the table, like looking up would reveal too much. And somehow, that hurt more than anything. Because silence like that isn't confusion. It's quiet acceptance. And Ethan, he just kept talking. About leadership, growth, taking things to the next level. Like he had built something. Like he had earned it. But I remembered everything. Every sleepless night. Every risk. When one wrong decision could have changed everything. The first client I convinced to trust me. The contracts I signed with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The months I paid my team, but didn't pay myself. Because their lives depended on me. Not him, never him. And now, he stood there like the hero of a story he was never part of. Around the table, no one spoke. Not my aunt. Not my cousins. Just uncomfortable glances. And heavy silence. Because moments like this, they don't feel like conversations. They feel like judgment. And somehow, I was already the one being blamed. The ungrateful daughter. The emotional one. The problem. I could feel it. That pressure. Stay quiet. Don't react. Keep things calm. In other words, stay invisible. And for a moment, I almost did. But then, something shifted, not loudly. Quietly, like a voice inside me finally said, enough. I picked up my glass. Took a slow sip. Let the silence stretch just a little longer. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I felt steady, in control. I placed the glass down. Looked directly at my dad. And calmly said, do you want to explain it? Or should I? And just like that, everything changed. My dad froze. Ethan's smile faded. Just for a moment. But I noticed it. That small crack. That moment of uncertainty. Because suddenly, their plan didn't feel so certain anymore. The room went completely still. Not the usual silence. This one felt different. Heavy. Like something important was about to unfold. My dad cleared his throat. Tried to smile. You know, Nina, maybe this isn't the right time. I didn't let him finish. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Really, I said calmly, because it seemed like the right time, when you decided to say I wouldn't be part of this anymore. That landed hard. A few people shifted in their seats. Someone whispered, wait, what? Good. Now they were paying attention. My mom stepped in quickly, her tone tight. Let's not do this here. It's Thanksgiving. I nodded slowly. You're right, I said. But that should have been considered. Before turning dinner into an announcement. Ethan exhaled, clearly frustrated now. You're overthinking this, he said. This is business. You were never meant to handle it long term. That almost made me smile. Almost. Instead, I leaned back slightly. Completely calm. Business, I repeated. All right, let's talk business. And that's when I reached down and pulled out a folder from my bag. I had brought it with me. Did I plan this moment? Not exactly, but something in me knew I might need it. I slid the folder across the table, right in front of my dad. You can explain it, I said softly, or I will. His hands didn't move at first, but his face, that was enough. Because panic doesn't hide well, especially not in a room full of people watching closely. Ethan frowned. What is this? I didn't even look at him. Proof. One word. That's all it took. My dad finally opened the folder. And as he flipped through the pages, I watched his shoulders drop. Slowly. Like the weight of the truth was physically pressing down on him. Inside that folder, everything. Incorporation papers, ownership agreements, emails, signatures. Every single document clearly showing one thing. I was the sole owner. Not partially. Not temporarily. Completely. A cousin leaned forward. Wait, does this mean? Yes, I said, finally looking around the table. It means the company is legally mine. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't awkward, it was realization. Ethan's expression changed instantly. Confidence. Gone. Now, it was anger. This doesn't prove anything, he snapped. Things change. Dad said. I cut in calmly. A lot of things. Then I looked straight at my father. Do you want to tell them what you tried to do? He didn't answer. Of course he didn't. So I did. I found out weeks ago, I said, that there was an attempt to transfer control. Without my consent. Gasps. Actual gasps. This time. My mom shook her head quickly. That's not how it happened. Then explain it. I said gently. She couldn't. Because the truth doesn't need creativity. It just needs courage. And right now, I was the only one in the room who had it. Ethan slammed his hand lightly on the table. This is ridiculous. I've been preparing for this my whole life. I tilted my head slightly, preparing. Then I leaned forward just a little. By doing what exactly? That hit him where it hurt. Because he didn't have an answer. Not a real one. The room was turning now. You could feel it. People were not looking at me like I was the problem anymore. They were looking at him. At my parents. Connecting everything in their minds. And for the first time that night, I was not the one being judged. They were. My uncle suddenly stood up. All right, he said firmly. Let us focus on what actually matters. Finally, someone said it. All eyes turned to my dad. He looked exhausted, quiet, under pressure. And then, he said it. Softly, but clearly enough for everyone to hear. The company belongs to Nina. That was it. No more confusion. No more mixed stories. Just the truth. Clear, uncomfortable, real. Ethan leaned back in his chair stunned. Like everything had just shifted for him. And my mom. She did not say a word. Because there was nothing left to explain. I took a slow breath. Not out of relief, but clarity. Because in that moment, I realized something important. This was never a misunderstanding. This had already been decided. And it only would have worked if I had stayed quiet. No one touched their food anymore. The turkey sat there getting cold. Just like the mood around the table. I slowly stood up. Not dramatically, not angrily, just certain. I did not come here to argue, I said calmly. I came here hoping you would do the right thing. I looked at my parents. Really looked at them. And you did not. My mom spoke softly. Nina, we were just trying to keep the family together. I shook my head gently. No, I said quietly. You had already made the decision. That line felt heavy, without raising my voice. Because it was true. Ethan shifted in his seat. He looked uncomfortable. So what now? He said bitterly. You just walk away like you are the victim. I paused. Then gave a small, almost tired smile. I am not the victim, I said. I am the owner. Silence. Again. But this time, it felt different. Final. I picked up my coat. And from now on I added. Everything else can go through lawyers. That word. Lawyers. It changed the air instantly. This was not family drama anymore. This was real. Serious. Irreversible. My dad finally spoke again. Nina, wait. But I did not. Because for once, I was not waiting for permission. I walked to the door. Each step felt lighter, stronger, like I was leaving behind something I did not even realize I had been carrying for years. I stepped outside into the cold night. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But my spine, straight, for the first time in a long time, I felt free. The weeks after that, messy calls, messages, half-hearted apologies, then anger, then silence. But the outcome, crystal clear. Ethan lost everything he thought was his. My parents lost the control they depended on. And me. I gained something way more valuable than an apology. Clarity. The company stabilized. Not because of family, but because of competence. Because I finally stopped mixing loyalty with self-betrayal. And that lesson, it changed everything. You know what the craziest part is? They really believed I would stay quiet. That I would smile, nod, and accept getting nothing. But they forgot one thing. I did not just build a company. I built proof. And the moment I said, "Should I tell them or do you want to?" their entire plan collapsed in seconds. Honestly, if I were in that situation again, I would not wait for the right moment. Because people who plan behind your back are counting on your silence, and sometimes, speaking up once, is all it takes to change your entire life. What would you have done in that moment? Would you stay quiet to keep the peace, or expose everything in front of everyone? Let me know in the comments.